What's up, YouTube? Thomas L here, with Halle Berry returning to the big screen this week in John Wick Chapter 3. I've decided to do my top 10 favorite Halle Berry movies. I've had a crush on Halle Berry for a long time. Not only is she incredibly good looking, but she's also a really great actress. Believe it or not, she was the first black woman to win an Oscar for Best Lead Actress in a Motion Picture. Of course, she won for Mustard Ball. She's been in some really good stuff, in my opinion. And I'm really looking forward to see how she does in John Wick 3. So, that being said, here's my 10 favorite Halle Berry movies. Alright, coming in at number 10 is The Rich Man's Wife. In this film, Halle Berry plays a woman named Josie who's like very unhappy in her marriage to a wealthy film producer named Tony Patenza, played by the awesome Christopher McDonough, and who pretty much tends to be preoccupied with work, drinking, or sleeping with other women. And so, Josie also cheats on Tony with a man. Play. She actually ends up seeing another man played by Clive Owen, who's like very far from innocent. And this is a really underrated thriller. I remember seeing this movie one time, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a really cool cat and mouse thriller. Clive Owen was terrific in this. I believe it was like Owen's like breakout performance in the U.S. if I'm not mistaken. But I think like before this, he did like stuff from the UK, but he hadn't really had that breakout US role until I guess The Rich Man's Wife. Chris McDonough, that guy is completely underrated. I think Chris McDonough's just awesome. He was really great in this. Halle Berry was terrific in this. It's a really cool, high-profile thriller. If you guys never checked out The Rich Man's Wife yet, do yourself favors. It's a really good one. Alright, now my number 9 favorite is going to be very controversial and very unpopular. But granted, I actually consider this more as a guilty pleasure mine than anything. But my number 9 pick is Catwoman. I know this would probably be on people's worst Halle Berry list instead of best. But I gotta say, I really like this movie. It does have lots of problems and very cringeworthy dialogue. But I think it's probably just because Halle Berry in that Catwoman uniform is just... Come on, who didn't like Halle Berry in that Catwoman uniform? Even if you don't like the movie, you can't deny of how great she was in that uniform. And I actually like Sharon Stone as a villain in this. Benjamin Bratt was really cool in this as the detective who Catwoman, of course, sleeps with. Yeah, this movie isn't like great. I could see why lots of people hate it, but it's kind of more like a very guilty pleasure of mine. It's actually also really fun as well. I mean, I yeah, Catwoman wasn't really to me it wasn't as bad as most people make it out to be. But also, cool thing is, when Halle Berry won the Razzie Award for Worst Actress for Catwoman. Get this, like most actors who like win their Razzie, like there's a reason why the Razzie Awards aren't televised is because lots of people don't really show up for their awards. But Halle Berry was one of the actresses who actually went up and accepted her award for Worst Actress for Catwoman. I actually thought that was real class of her to do also. But anyway, yeah, I didn't really mind Catwoman. It wasn't like great, nothing like that, but I thought it was pretty fine and all. And Halle Berry is probably maybe my second favorite Catwoman behind Michelle Pfeiffer. I think she was a really good Catwoman, and yeah, I still a little bit wish we had got a sequel, but it flopped and critically and financially, so I could see why we did not get a sequel. But anyway, Coming in at number 8 is a movie called The Car. Now, this movie is actually this movie was released by WWE Films, and it was a really cool thriller. In it, Halle Berry plays a 911 operator named Jordan, um, who tries to save the life of a young woman after she's kidnapped by a insane psychopath. So she decides to take matters in her own hand by trying to find the kidnapper, and this movie was a really fun thriller. Abigail Breslin plays a girl who ends up getting kidnapped. Michael Imperioli from Sopranos fame, he was cool in this. I really had a blast with this movie. I mean, I've seen this movie a couple of times, and it does get a little predictable, I admit. But still, it's a really fun joyride. And this is probably one of my favorite movies from WWE films. I mean, sometimes when WWE films do film movies, they're usually a hit and a miss. But this is actually a hit for me. I really enjoyed it. It was a really cool cat and mouse thriller. Halle Berry, I mean, it shows you don't mess with Halle Berry. She was really fierce in this. And Abigail Breslin was also decent. I really enjoyed The Car. If you guys never had a chance to check out The Car yet, give it a go. It's a really fun thriller. Coming in at number 7 is The Flintstones. Now, this is probably the first movie that made me have a bit of a crush on Halle Berry. Maybe it's because of the uniform she wore in this. If you guys see the Flintstones, you know what uniform I'm talking about. And of course, the Flintstones is based on the classic TV show. And this had John Goodman as Fred Flintstone, Rosie O'Donnell was Betty. Which, I like the movie, but I still thought Rosie O'Donnell was miscast as Betty. Of course, you had Kyle McLaughlin was also in this. And in it, Halle Berry actually plays like McLaughlin's character's like ex girlfriend in that, who also seduces Fred. And she's also, I guess you could say, a henchwoman as well. And funny enough, her Halle Berry's character's real name is Sharon Stone, kind of like the actress, which is funny because Sharon Stone later on ended up appearing with Halle Berry in Catwoman. So I kind of find that a little funny that in this, Halle Berry's character was named Sharon Stone. Anyway, yeah, Flintstones is another guilty pleasure of mine. I had really fun memories of watching this on TV. It's really funny. I love John Goodman as Fred Flintstone. Kyle MacLachlan was pretty decent in this. It's a really funny film. And I really like Halle Berry didn't have like a whole lot of screen time, but I really enjoyed the screen time she had in the film. Yeah, Flintstones is I really enjoy this movie. And I could probably watch it over and over. It's a 90s family classic now. Coming in at number 6 is actually more of a TV movie, but it's Introducing Dorothy Dandridge, which is based on a true story, and it chronicles the life of actress Dorothy Dandridge, who is the first black woman to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Actress. And Halle Berry, of course, plays the role of Dandridge, and Dandridge begins her career working as a nightclub singer before eventually breaking into Hollywood. There she, of course, meets her steadfast manager, played by Brent Spiner, and she also tries to struggle against racism as well. And her rise to stardom introduces her to Odo Preminger, who's a film director who she develops a complicated relationship with. I think this is probably one of Halle Berry's best performances in her career. I could be mistaken here, but I think she won and was nominated for an Emmy Award for this performance. She was that terrific in this movie. If I was to do my top 10 favorite Halle Berry performances, this might actually be in my top 3. But as for a film, it's probably my sixth favorite of hers. But Halle Berry I thought she was fierce as a role. She played that role really perfectly. The movie went on in depth of who Dorothy Dandridge was and went on in depth of her, career. And Halle Berry was just terrific as the role. And if you guys never had a chance to check it out, I say give it a go. It's a really interesting look at Dorothy Dandridge's life and all. All right, coming in at number 5 is Die Another Day. Now, I gotta say, Halle Berry, down the line, I'll probably do my top 10 favorite Bond girls. And I will say now, Halle Berry will probably be in that list. I loved Halle Berry as the Bond girl in this. I mean, here, Halle Berry's character is named Jinx, who is like an NSA agent. And this was actually Pierce Brosnan's last portray as Bond, and then after that, of course, Daniel Craig took over. I actually really enjoyed Die Another Day. No, it's not like one of the best Bond films of all time, nothing like that. But I really enjoyed it. I like the chemistry between Pierce Brosnan and Halle Berry. You also got pretty much the villain in this, who's played by Toby Stevens. He was great. You got a police agent played by Rick Young was really great in this. Yeah, I really had so much fun with this movie when I first saw it. It's lots of people probably consider this as the worst Bond movie, which I guess I can see why lots of people didn't like this film. But I, for one, really enjoyed it. It's like I said, it's not Bond, the best Bond movie of all time, but it's still pretty enjoyable to watch. And if you guys never seen Die Another Day, I say give it a go. It was a pretty decent one. I mean, this is also not my favorite of the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. I mean, probably GoldenEye would probably be it, but it was still pretty a good Bond film. All right. Coming in at number 4 is a movie called Swordfish. Now, this is a really cool hacking film. In it, Hugh Jackman plays a character named Stanley Jobson, who is a computer hacker that affected the FBI's carnivore program with a computer virus. And his parole forbids use of computers and the internet. And so his alcoholic ex-wife Melissa marries a rich porn producer and is a part-time actress and all. And she has a restraining order against Stanley, who's the father of their daughter. And so you got Halle Berry as a character named Ginger Knowles, who pursues him to work for Gabriel Sher, played by John Travolta, who has a gun held to Jobson's head, giving him a minute to crack a secret government server and all. This is this movie got released in late. I think it got released early 2000s when computers were still relevant, but not as relevant as they are today. And Halle Berry, she looked great in this. There's a pretty hot scene with Halle Berry in Swordfish. It's a really interesting hacking film. John Travolta was pretty good. Don Cheadle was in this. He was pretty terrific. I really enjoyed this movie. It's a really cool thriller. Good performances by Travolta, by Cheadle. Jackman, one of his earliest roles, was pretty good in this. Of course, Hugh Jackman and Halle Berry have worked together a couple times in another little film that I'm going to mention here, maybe later on. But anyway, yeah, Swordfish is really good. If you guys never seen Swordfish by now, do yourself a favor, give it a go. It's a really cool thriller. But I don't think the movie really holds up today as it did when it got released. It's a really interesting film. Alright, coming in at number 3 is a movie called Boomerang. Now, this film stars Eddie Murphy in it, who's a successful advertising executive who woos and beds a woman almost at any wills. and you got Halle Berry in this as pretty much an assistant who has like been dating Marcus's best friend and all, and and she ends up falling for Eddie Murphy's character. And there's like a pretty cool lovemaking scene between Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry. I really like the chemistry between Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry. Their chemistry was pretty good. You also got Robin Gibbons as the assistant in this. You also had Martin Lawrence. Tisha Campbell was in this. It's a real it's been a while since I've seen Boomerang, but I remember really enjoying it when I first saw it. Not to mention BT has like a Boomerang TV show, which I checked out a couple of episodes of it. It's not all that good, to be honest, yeah. But the movie Boomerang was really good. You know, it's a really nice little romance film. Like, this is probably one of the most underrated romance movies of the '90s. It's really good, and the chemistry between Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry is worth checking this film out for. They were both really great in this, and shame that Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry never did another movie after Boomerang, because they were both terrific together. All right, my number two favorite. Speaking of Hugh Jackman, my number two favorite is Halle Berry as Storm in the X-Men movies. I mean, I decided just to go with all the X-Men movies that Halle Berry was in. You know, she of course played Storm in both X-Men, X-Men 2, even X-Men 3. And she also she at last played Storm in X-Men Days of Future Past, and since then she hasn't really played Storm since. Now, for you guys who don't know, Storm is like a mutant who has the ability to manipulate the weather and all. And this is another film that Halle Berry and Hugh Jackman had worked together on. They both work together really well, and I really love Halle Berry as Storm. Of course, she's no stranger to the comic book genre because later on she of course appeared in Catwoman, like I was talking about earlier. But X Men is really good. You know, it's the movie that kind of redefined, like kind of guess you say X Men. You know, kind of brought back the comic book genre because it was dead after Batman and Robin and all. And of course, it was directed by Bryan Singer, who did a great job at directing. You know, Halle Berry as Storm I thought that was terrific casting. You know, the girl who plays Storm, I think the actress name is Alexandra Shipp, who plays Storm in the newer X-Men films. She's good, but I think Halle Berry kind of plays that role a little more better. But of course, Halle Berry played the role more than she has. So hopefully, by the time Dark Phoenix come out, who knows? Maybe I'll say Alexandra Shipp is actually better. But right now, I still say Halle Berry is the best Storm we had. You know, of course, Marvel is. Of course, we might be getting more X-Men films, so it'll be interesting to see what other actress is going to play Storm in the near future. But I gotta say, I'll be down to see Halle Berry return again. I mean, Halle Berry just plays that role perfectly, and yeah. Also, X-Men is it's a cool franchise, and yeah, definitely my second favorite Halle Berry film. All right, my number one favorite Halle Berry movie is the film that pretty much won her first ever Oscar, and that is Monsters Ball. Halle Berry she was godless in this. I really liked Halle Berry in Monsters Ball, and it's not for the obvious reasons, by the way. I mean, the movie is like set in the southern United States, and is like a tale of a racist white man named Hank, played by Billy Bob Thornton, who falls in love with a black woman named Letitia, played by Halle Berry. And ironically, Hank is like a prison guard working on death row, who executed Letitia's husband, who by the way was played by Diddy. And Hank and Letitia's racial affair, led to like a fusion and new ideas, for the two unlikely lovers and all. There's of course like a lovemaking scene between Billy Bob Thornton and Halle Berry. Like Halle Berry shows it all, like literally. Anyway, also you had Heath Ledger in this. He was really terrific. The movie was also directed by Mark Forster, who last recently directed Christopher Robin, which, I mean, go from a sexually filmed like Monsters Ball to a movie about Winnie the Pooh. Cool resume. But Monsters Ball, like Halle Berry, I think it's her best performance ever. She won the Oscar for a reason. She was that great in this movie. Like I said, she was the first ever black woman to win an Oscar for Best Lead Actress, and a well-deserving win because Halle Berry was that great in this. Billy Bob Thornton was terrific. Mark Foster did a good job at directing. It's a really interesting film. It's about it's a really good film about race relationships. And Pete Diddy was actually pretty good in his parts. I thought he was really decent. But yeah, if you guys never seen Monsters Ball by now, give it a go. It's really good. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 10, The Rich Man's Wife. 9, Catwoman. 8, The Core. 7, The Flintstones. 6, Introducing Dorothy Dandridge. 5, Die Another Day. 4, Swordfish. 3, Boomerang. 2, X-Men. 1, Monsters Ball. Now, Halle Berry's been in loads of other stuff over the years. Let's see. Other stuff she was in. She was also in that movie Kidnap, which was god awful. She was in Baz, which was pretty fun. Gothica, which had a Robert Downey Jr. in it. That was pretty terrible. She was in Perfect Stranger with Bruce Willis, which was also not that good. Cloud Atlas, which was pretty terrible. Frankie and Alice, she was pretty good in. Dark Tide, that was pretty terrible. She was good in Kingsman Golden Circle. Jungle Fever was pretty good, which was directed by Spike Lee. Let's see. Things We Lost in the Fire, another good performance by her. Executive Decision with Kurt Russell. She was last seen in the movie Kings with Daniel Craig. That was okay. She was in New Year's Eve, Robots. I liked her in The Last Boy Scouts. She was in Strictly Business, which was not all that good. She was in The Program. That was okay. Yeah, she's been in some pretty decent stuff over the years. But let me leave it to you guys. What are some of your favorite Halle Berry movies? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Tom Sells signing off.